Sometimes I honestly don't know why I do this to myself. I really don't. What have you got for me today, Internet?
I'm L.A. Marzulli. Join me as we go on the trail of the Nephilim. In my opinion, Native Americans did not build. They built some of the mounds. Chief Joseph Riverwind, who's a Tiana war peace chief, came on the record in, I think, On the Trail of the Nephilim 1, 2, and 3, talking about that the idea that the Native Americans, First Nation people, built the mounds. They built the smaller ones, some of them, and they were used for burials. Some of the larger ones were then used, again, they would go into these very large mounds and create secondary burials. In other words, they didn't create, let's say, Cahokia, but in some instances, like Cahokia, they would use these mounds for their burials. So it's
Okay, let me stop you right there, Dr. Marzulli. You just said Native Americans did not create Cahokia. Are you effing kidding me? I don't even... Cahokia, for those of you that don't know, is one of the premier archaeological sites in North America. It is in the state of Illinois, which is where I work. It is a Mississippian mound center. It was the first and largest and most spectacular fluorescence of the Mississippian culture. Did he really just say that Cahokia wasn't built by Native Americans?
in other words, they didn't create, let's say, Cahokia.
Artist reconstruction. Here is Monk's Mound. Monk's Mound, largest pre-contact earthwork in the Americas, largest pyramid north of Mesoamerica. 100 feet high, almost 1,000 feet long. It's got a base about the same size as the Great Pyramid of Giza. So when you're talking about scale of effort, they were not messing around. So there would be Monk's Mound, there's Palisade, hundreds and hundreds of houses. Here's what the excavation of a Mississippian house looks like. These long lines are the wall trenches. There was some kind of post there. Maybe this was two overlapping houses. Here's another excavation photo showing the trenches outlined. This is kind of a standard timeline chronology that we use all the time. So the Mississippian period here, there are four basic Mississippian phases, starting about 1050 or so AD, decades and decades of archaeological work and careful excavation and hundreds of radiocarbon determinations. This is one of the most intensively studied sites in the entire Western Hemisphere. For L.A. Marzulli to say that this was not built by Native Americans is like, it makes about as much sense as saying that the moon is made of cheese. Maybe he said that too. I don't know. You can look about the dating of Monk's Mound. Here's a paper that I found. Anybody can go and read this. The Chronology of Monk's Mound. It's available to the public, June 2013, so this is already 10 years old. Radiocarbon dates from Monk's Mound material. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. By my count, this paper lists 28 radiocarbon dates from Monk's Mound itself. I have been assembling a database of radiocarbon dates from Eastern North America. I've currently got maybe 25,000 radiocarbon dates, and I checked the other day for your benefit, Internet. By my count, the site of Cahokia itself has over 200 associated radiocarbon dates. You see how in this picture, all of this stuff is laid out? This is a planned community built by Native Americans during the Mississippian period. These things are aligned together. There is structure here. What kind of cheese would the moon be made out of? I don't know. As long as we're just making up stories, maybe the moon was made out of brie. Maybe it's Colby Jack. Maybe it's Pepper Jack. Oh, maybe it's Stilton. A Stilton moon. That sounds good. All of the extensive archaeological work here, none of it has produced evidence of giants or Nephilim or anything. They are normal-sized houses with normal-sized people and normal-sized tools and normal-sized pots. The idea that because this is big and impressive, you have to attribute it to something else other than Native Americans is exactly why this kind of thing is racist. To say that Native Americans couldn't or didn't do this when there is bucket loads of evidence to the contrary is a asinine racist statement. I'll let him describe himself. Here we go.
Use these mounds for their burials. So it's complex. We understand that. In my opinion, the reason for the pushback is simply this, that if there really are red-haired six-fingered giant skeletons. It goes back to the biblical prophetic narrative. It goes back and points to a supernatural worldview. In my opinion, much of mainstream archaeology does not adhere to that. They don't like that. They adhere to the Darwinian paradigm, and that is sacrosanct in both the academic community and...
No, I'll tell you what we adhere to, and that is reality and facts. And yes, there's a lot of theory and theory building and hypothesis testing, and things are proven wrong, and that's how science works. The argument that there is evidence for any of this, for the red-haired giants and the Nephilim and all that, and that archaeology just can't see it because we don't have a supernatural worldview, is absolutely absurd. And it is intellectually lazy to use that as your crutch to make your argument. It's funny because L.A. Marzulli describes himself as somebody who believes in the supernatural world, and yet he keeps trying to find evidence in the natural world for that supernatural world. If there's evidence for it in the natural world, then it's by definition not an entirely supernatural phenomena. These things are flesh and blood creatures that are walking around leaving footprints and stuff like that. But archaeologists deal with the natural world and with things that can be empirically observed, and we have observed none of this stuff. So he takes that and says that we're hiding it from you, we are obfuscating it from you because of our Darwinian worldview. I have to say, the more I learn about him and the way he conducts himself, I am, let's put it charitably, I am less and less impressed. It's kind of sad. The guy's in his 70s now, I think. I don't know that anybody else will carry on this quote unquote work of his. He's made a living for himself, basically selling bullshit, total bullshit, walking all over the actual information that we have about the human past. And, you know, this claim that Native Americans did not build most of the mounds, and he needs that claim to be true in order to fit in all of the stuff that he says was going on that we are hiding from you. It harkens back to the racist mound builder myth. And for him to sit there with a straight face and say that Native Americans did not build Cahokia, I mean, what kind of a researcher could make a statement like that without, Googling it and finding articles about the chronology and everything else? What he's doing is not research. It's not. He's taking your money for books and whatever else it is that he's selling. And it's kind of sad. It's funny because his channel has 220 some thousand subscribers. I'm stuck at 1360 or something like that. But when I go after him for the stupid, incorrect things that he says, I feel like I am punching down. I don't know if this guy can think his way out of a paper bag, but a lot of people apparently think he has something interesting to say. Good for him, I suppose. But I think when he's done with whatever it is that he is doing here, that will probably be the end of it. And there will be nobody to carry on L.A. Marzulli's legacy, because in order to pick that ball up and run with it, he would have to have a screw loose. So you can't watch one of his videos for more than a few minutes without him saying something that is demonstrably untrue, logically absurd. That's what I've got to say about that. Happy Sunday, everybody. It's a nice day. I could be getting stuff done around the house. I could take a nap.